growing up for me was quite bad, like, because like I didn't really see a lot of me mum and dad and stuff when I was a kid, and that, because I grew up in care kind of thing.
I live in Bladen, grew up there all my life, and when I was growing up I had a lot of free will from like my mum and dad, and I could do basically what I wanted as long as I was home by a certain time.
I was growing up on a council estate and didn't really know nothing about God, and I was brought up in like background of violence, and my ma's partner abused like me and my sister when we were younger.
Growing up was like seeing people and learning as a young child how to, you know, be a thief, basically. I watched all my brothers do kind of the same thing. I grew up sort of like rogues, really.
Started out small things, car theft, a lot of car theft, very popular. Ram raiding, petty things, car stereos. Used to put them in freezers and that back in the day to take all the codes off them and that, you know. Growing up without a father, I didn't know right from wrong. I used to, me hatred used to get deeper and a lot stronger, and I used to go out and start hitting people in nurseries, streets, used to mug people. I got in myself all kinds of criminal activity.
I started experimenting with other things as well, and I just got in the habit, like just taking drugs every day. I just kind of escaped from reality because I just didn't like my life, you know what I mean? So I thought drugs were great because it made us feel happy and all that.
Started taking drugs like cannabis, MCAT, all that sort of stuff. And it just takes control of your life. You don't even realise you're having such a good time on it, but it's fake. It's like, it's the drink that makes you happy, it's the drugs that make you happy. You aren't actually happy.
It mixed up in drugs, drug-related crime and stuff like that. Petty crimes, which led on to bigger crimes, which eventually ended up like selling heroin and getting caught with a lot of heroin and getting like 3.5 years in jail. I can remember when the big door first closed, and I was like really bewildered, and I was actually quite scared, and it's a very sort of funny place because it's all mixture, like all the Fife people stick together and all the Glaswegians stick together, all the people from Edinburgh stick together, all the people from Aberdeen stick together.
I think I was 14 when I went to the detention centre, but it was like, oh, I'd never get into trouble again. You know what I mean? I thought, oh, I never, before what I went through in the detention centre, and it was a short, sharp shock. It knocked it out here. It was like, oh, I'm never going to go back there again. And basically, I still ended up getting into trouble.
You kind of beat yourself in prison, do you know what I mean? Because people see it as a weakness, and when people see that you're weak and all that, it's like you're like a victim.
The first time I went to prison, I found out that one of these kids is Adam. He's 6 now. I've not seen him since about 6 months or something. And I found out that he got put in foster care, which was really hard for me, and I ended up losing my mind, losing my marbles. I ended up trying to self-harm.
I got out in '98, and I thought nowadays I didn't need God. I'm out of jail now. Do you know what I mean? And my life just got even worse. But I just went chaotic after that. Like, I've done a lot more drugs. A lot more things. I was doing more stupider crime and that, and I had quite a few bad experiences and all that, with overdoses and stuff like that, and lost some close friends and a girlfriend at the time and all that.
Well, I got out and I was 10 feet tall and couldn't be told anything, and started to sort of get myself involved in more crime and more different things. I was just so broken for what I was doing to my family and how many people I hurt, how people couldn't trust us, and how I would break the trust with my brothers and my sisters, or even my friends, and just use my friends for money.
You know, it's like ruining not just your life, your family's lives, other people's lives. You know, it's a very selfish thing to do, really. But at the time, you just, you know, you don't care, you're not bothered.
I had some really bad news about me kids. I found out on a prison visit that I got adopted without us knowing, and I just went off on a bad patch, and this little voice in my head says, you need to speak to a chaplain.
I was thinking, there's got to be more to life than what I'm doing. I've done it, you know what I mean, all these years. I've never changed.
Before I found God, I think I had a lot of stuff in my basement and a lot of stuff built up, and I thought like I was this vicious little thug.
I was with this boy, he was my boyfriend at the time, and he was in prison, and when he came out of prison, we met Peter, and he encouraged me to go every Tuesday night, like find out who God was, but it was more for him than me. It was more helping him be rehabilitated rather than myself, so I was just kind of going for support rather than anything else, and then I ended up finding God myself.
I've tried everything else, and I mean I've got nothing to lose, so I went down to church and that, and I just kind of got into it there. God really spoke to us and that.
I think I started praying first of all in my part, because I'd always been like consider myself a Christian, but never like a practicing Christian.
It was a dark, dungy room, and I had a Bible, and I picked the Bible up, I can remember, and I shouted out to God, and I said, look, if there's a God, will he show us? And I kept reading the Psalms, I can remember that to this day. I kept reading the Psalms to God, and I can remember I was literally on my knees, and I was saying to God, will you just show us if there's a God, because I can't take this life no more, and that was the truth.
You know, now I actually think of people's feelings and not just that, consequences, because I don't want to risk going back to jail, you know, I'm missing out on my family, I just want to keep my nose clean, you know, because if I didn't do that, I've got a lot of things that I've been blessed with and I didn't want to lose.
Faith played a significant role in my change. It gave me a sort of moral compass that I was lacking before, you know, and it gave us that inspiration and that inner strength to deal with the things that I had to deal with.
And it was just so, like, as though someone wrapped the whole, like, something around us and cushioned us, and it was a comfort there that I've never, ever felt in my life.
And since then, really, like, that's when my life's really got better, to be honest. Like, it's really, like, it's hard to explain, hard to put into words. It gives a new way of thinking and a better way of living my life, and it's also changed the way I feel inside as well.
Connecting with God has basically given me the tools and the strength to change, and God's changed my personality, changed my thinking, my emotional stability, everything. I mean, I'm still less than perfect, and I still make screw-ups and still have a naughty temper, you know, though it's nowhere as near as bad as it has been previously.
For life revolving around crime and drugs, to just like living a normal life, getting up, going to work, got a little daughter there, getting married, you know, it's things 100% different.
I don't look at things the way I did before, like drugs. I don't think that's a normal thing that you should have to go through and be accepted in a society. I don't think that you should mess around with them, and it gave us more of a focus and a vision. Like, I feel happier in myself and more comfortable. Like, I don't have to be this daredevil person for people to accept who I am.
When I was a drug addict, I was never peaceful, I was never content. I always wanted more drugs or more things, or I wanted to commit more crimes. I was never at peace with myself. And I think one of the big things God does is he just makes you content.
It's feel real good to connect with God and what he does in people's lives, and I've seen people changing, yeah, and I've even changed myself from a violent background to a nice peaceful heart, and you know what I mean, it transforms people as well.
It's really changed my mind, the way I think things, and it feels like my mind's more freer now, and I'm not as paranoid like I used to be.
The whole way I think, the whole way I do things is 100% different to what it was. Like, instead of living like a selfish life and just thinking about myself, I'm thinking about others and your family and the effects like bad decisions can have on people and stuff like that.